Today is October the 16th, 2019. It is now 10:02 p.m. Thank you for joining me live, and today is the day that we all hoped would be a big week or a small week. I don't know. Some of us try and cut our pull lists, but this week we didn't have to. It was a very small week, and you're about to see exactly how small that is. So before we do that, how about we jump on over into the chat, see who's along with us. We have Mr. Comics 89 in the house. Good to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Along with us, we have Downright Nerdy Podcast. I thank you for joining me live. Anybody in the chat, if this is your first time, I have a few cameras open, and I only do this once a week. Reason why? I have zero time. As a person in the chat room was saying, it's been very difficult to do anything in the last 3 weeks because of a little thing called life. Hi, Leo. Good to see you in the chat room today. I have a little saying that I wind up using whenever everything's going wrong. It's, make it stop! And it never does. And that's why minutes before I'm about to go live, it's usually about 2 hours beforehand, and everything goes wrong until about a minute beforehand, and I don't know if anything's going to work out. I just hope it does, because if it doesn't, well, let me know in the chat or in the comments below. So, considering it's been a small week, how about we just get to the books? So, we will jump on over here to my little segment that I like to call What's in the Briefcase? It's so light I can pick it up with like 2 fingers. That's how bad it is this week. So let's see what we got. There's been a bit of news that's been jumping around lately in the comic book community as far as the Batman movie, who's in, who's out. So I'll just tell you this much. Who is out? Jonah Hill. Who is in is Zoe Kravitz. I believe she's a DJ doing not so much house. I think it's drum and bass, or maybe it's more... I really don't know. I don't listen to her. But let me know in the comments. Hey, Lady Fantastic, welcome. Thank you for joining us here in the chat. So here we've got the books. This is how small it is. I mean, really, how bad is this? So let's put this all over here. And the first book that we have up this week, as you'll see in just a moment after I focus the next camera. So we have what I have as my book of the week. This week came out a new book by the name of The Marked. So what The Marked is, if you are a fan of tattoos, you will probably enjoy this book. I did read it. I got a chance during lunch today because it was a very slow day. And The Marked, if you've seen the television show The Magicians, The Magicians was pretty much about some people that wind up going to school together. One gets kicked out, one becomes a villain, and they probably have to face off against one another. I only got 2 seasons in before I dropped it because I saw it originally when it was called Fushigi Yugi as an anime. So The Marked is a little like that, only instead of magical powers, it's magic that stems from, well, tattoos. And if you're a fan of tattoos, you will probably enjoy this book. And since tattoos is a big thing, has been for a very long time, hundreds and hundreds of years, note, people back about 400 or 500 years ago would get a large tattoo of Jesus to make sure that if they get caught doing any kind of crimes, that no one would lash them. Little bit of history. So this was a good book. I think it will be a long play book of the week. If you haven't read it yet, it was really good. It was a solid start for a first issue. It's David Hine and Brian Haberlin. These are the gentlemen that are behind the last several issues of Spawn. And if you've liked Spawn, you will probably like this. Moving on from Image, I only got the 1 Image book this week. We have Absolute Carnage, issue number 4. Now, I don't know how much any of you have been paying attention to all the spin-offs, but this week we wound up getting another spin-off with Avengers. This one ties into this book. I don't know if there's going to be a second issue of Avengers breaking free from the Carnage curse. So I guess maybe I should have been reading Scream or Screech or Shriek or Deadpool. There are so many tie-ins. I can only keep up with so many. I only have so much room for comic books, and I'm running out of room. Also, I ran into a lawyer this week, a couple of them. One of them joined my channel. Another one told me, hey, yeah, I know you, Rob. He's, I don't know if I can call him a friend, but his name is Judah. I won't say the last name. He's an attorney. And he said he picked up a bunch of books that he is just going to be giving me. So this weekend, I will head on up to Broward and pick that up. And perhaps over the weekend, I will do a haul. He sent us a couple boxes. I don't know what's inside. We'll see together when I open it up. It's going to be a surprise for all of us. So moving on from Absolute Carnage Avengers 1, which I did not read. At least I admit it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you only picked up 2 comics this week, Lady Fantastic. And Leo, you haven't picked up the marked... you picked up the marked variant. I saw that, and there's also a secret variant that came out. I haven't seen it yet in any stores, and I visited 2 today because I missed out on the History of the Marvel Universe issue number 4. Apparently, people have been really enjoying Mark Waid's story in History of the Marvel Universe, and it was on my pull list, or at least I thought it was on my pull list. Couldn't find it. Called around to many different comic stores, and nobody had it. Went to Corker Comics, and they ordered me one. It should be in tomorrow. I have been reading it, and it's really good. Captain America 15, I have not read one issue of Ta-Nehisi Coates. He did just write a new book lately. Haven't read that either. I did enjoy the Black Panther run that he did, so I should enjoy this, but I'm way behind on all my Captain Americas. Moving on, we have Captain Marvel issue number 11, and spoiler alert, everybody, jump on this book because it is the first appearance cameo of Dark Star. Not to really spoil too much, but really how much? It moves at a snail's pace. So they yank out the ornament that makes Star run. She gets thrown into prison, and that's when you find that that thing that was ripped out of her, that doesn't exactly power her. It comes from within, and she goes totally dark. She flies away at the end, and next issue, we're dealing with the dark storyline. So going to be looking out for issue 12 coming out next month. Next up, I had to go to another comic book shop for this too because my shop did not get that in. So again, thank you, Corker Comics, for being able to supply me this week. I spoke to I believe it's the owner, Juan. He's very nice. And if you get a chance, go into Corker Comics. They're located right off of, I believe it's 8th Street and 137th Avenue in Miami, right next to Florida International University, FIU. This is a great storyline. We're almost to the end. I know that they show Rocket dead on the cover, but the entire issue, all he's doing is more or less just dying. He's not dead yet, and I don't expect him to, and considering that we do have the appearance of a young Magus, and I believe young Magus made his first appearance in Thanos number 6, the new run that's just been running. And he wasn't in costume yet, but he is in this, and it looks like when this wraps up, when Al Ewing takes over, it is definitely going to be a book to read. It looks like Donny Cates, I don't want to criticize, it's not over yet, but it looks like he's rushing to the end because he's now on Thor, as we all know. So do pick up Guardians of the Galaxy number 10. Moving on to Spider-Man number 2 by J.J. Abrams and his son, or rather just J.J. Abrams' son, Henry Abrams. They should probably drop J.J. off the title. If Henry is a decent writer, and this issue does show that he knows what he's doing. He is a pretty good writer so far. We do have the first appearance of Benji Parker in costume in this issue. Thing is, he is not much like his daddy. He burns the costume. But there's also another appearance of another character in costume. Don't know if this is going to go anywhere. In fact, I don't know if this is going to go past issue 5 or 6. I'm this out there. It is better than Amazing Spider-Man right now. Sorry, not sorry. Now here we have X-Men #1. The only thing that was missing from X-Men #1 in this issue was the whole team playing baseball. You have Cyclops, you have Vulcan, you have Havoc, you have Corsair. You have the whole damn Summers family in this issue. What more can you want? You have Rachel Summers. You get a nice little quip going, hey, the outfit you're wearing, it's Spike's. Is that formal wear or, yes? So this was a good setup. It's a nice launching point. Hopefully people have been reading the Hox Pox, House of X, Powers of X. My friend Rufo was in the shop today. He bought every issue with the exception of the one that nobody can find. It goes for about $30 now. I think it's the House of X #2. It's when we discover that Moira McTaggart is a mutant and has lived many lives. He picked up the whole series, missed that one issue. So I'm going to try and find that for him because I married him this week. Wait, no, not that I'm married. I'm now married. I'm not married. I'm single, will be single for a very long time because how else am I going to afford all these books? I have an addiction. It's called comics. I got him and his new wife married because I'm a notary, so they're now a couple. Congratulations, Rufo and Kelly. So after I got this X-Men #1 here, which sets up the new standard, I wound up getting the variant. I don't know if this is a 1 in 10, 1 in 25, or a 50-50 along with this. But it's Art Germ, and I am very into a Ms. Marvel. I like any women that are able to read my mind and not run away screaming. Don't know what that says about me. So, we have Batman #81. I'm really starting to wonder at this point that now that between the jump of 80 and 81, that we're definitely seeing that Tom King is speeding through this storyline as fast as he can. We have 4 more issues left before it is over. And at this point, they don't show Bane until the very last page. And hey, if this is the first time you're watching my show, again, thank you. But also, I spoil the hell out of things. I'm not going to try and tell you the entire bulk of the story, but I will tell you the key moments so at least you know what you're getting yourself into when you're dropping $5 on a book. So in this issue, it's a great Matina cover of Bane breaking Batman's back. Doesn't happen in this issue. It doesn't even reference Alfred in this issue, but you do get the Batman team kicking the ever-loving crap out of Papa Wayne, out of, oh God, what's his name? Not Martha, the other one, Daddy Wayne. I should remember his name. Earlier today, I couldn't remember for about 15 minutes the storyline of the Killing Joke because lack of sleep. So in Batman '81, we're moving along with the storyline. We find out that the reason why the big bad in this is Gotham Girl, that it is Venom. Venom is what powers her. And Batman's trying to keep that away from her. Judging by the amount of text that goes on in this issue, it's almost clear that you can tell that this was initially written to be broken up over several issues. Thank you, Thomas Wayne, Leo Marquez. Thank you about that. So Thomas Wayne gets the ever-loving crap kicked out of him, but we're kind of seeing it really compressed now. Unlike by Michael Bendis's super decompressed, where it takes 12 issues to tell you a story that could be done in about 22 pages. This does about 100 pages worth in about 22 pages. So we have some pretty quick storytelling. It's a good issue. We're racing towards the end, and I'm looking forward to Batcat. Haven't read this one yet. I will be doing so as soon as I get around to the last 2 issues of the Justice League. I did read the Joker storyline by John Carpenter last week, though, and that one, it looks like the character that they used in it was a lot like this, almost like a Shempy sort of character. He's addicted, he's on drugs, he's a little bit crazy, and Joker lets him go. At the end of the storyline, it looks like a pretty good setup for this character. This isn't that issue. This is just a preview. I thought that this was finally the first issue of Joe Hill. It's Stephen King's son. They're releasing many different titles for the horror anthology, but this is just a sampler, so I won't talk about this yet until it comes out. Justice League 34, we got a nice little Matina cover again. I'm still behind on issue 33, but it's a good storyline. It's very fan servicey. If you're into that sort of fan service, it's more that than anything else. I don't know what happened to Snyder lately, but they're just, I don't know. I'll wait till I get to read it. Moving on. Teen Titans number 35, I am still so behind in this book because I thought that Crush, the character, would be going somewhere, but it's really not. So I will get around to reading the last 5 issues. Hopefully, I don't know, somebody put me in the hospital. I need some time off from work because, oh God, I only get 2 hours of sleep a night at this point. So Superman Year 1 issue number 3. This is the John Romita cover because when I look at the Frank Miller cover, I can't. I can't. It's something happened to Frank Miller along the way, and it might be political, but I'm not going to go there. I will get to reading it maybe eventually, or I'll just sell it all. Who knows? So we are only about 18 minutes in. This is all the books that came out this week. So as a result of that, why don't we do a little thing called shout-outs? Now, for my shout-out, there was somebody that wound up winning Comic Gories this past week, last Friday, I believe, and his name is Bub's Comics. So how about I jump on over here to my YouTube page where I show you Bub. Now, here is Bub's page. I'm not able to see my chat right now, so I do apologize. This is his page, and one thing that I noticed that he had is Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine, where he cleans it and presses it. I'm afraid to press any of the books that I have until I do more practice. But watching him, you feel more confident doing it. Hopefully one day I'll get to the point where I can do this. But here's a little, just a little preview just to see what you get yourself into. He has a nice intro. That is awesome.
Hello, YouTube.
We'll just jump around. He clips this open, and I am riddled with anxiety watching that. This is why even if I'm going to press something, more often than not, I will probably just order it raw.
Now, some people will take the top clips off. I think the bottom clip is easier to get off.
Skip around over here to the middle.
I really don't need to open up my original.
And he does it about the same way I do it.
You notice this line that's right there along the edge.
But when you watch him do this book, you'll start feeling more confident in your cleaning skills.
Have a goal in mind. We're going to work on that stain a little bit. So 2 things happen when you're dealing with a stain. One is either the stain comes out, which I never expected this one to come out because it looks more like a grease type stain. I always put my finger on the very corner to make sure that I don't pull it.
Sound advice.
You want to have very light touch when you're working on the edge. Very, very light. And if you see any spot on the book that might be a potential rip, just avoid it. Like, I don't even go near it.
Sound advice. So in this video, he cleans and presses a Hulk 181, and he does it from point A to point Z. So not that you're going to be doing a Hulk 181 on your own, but hey, you might have it. And if not, you might want to start practicing on some things before you work your way up to that. I have a bunch of things I want to clean and press, but I don't see me getting to that level until probably next year. When I only have minutes in the course of a day to get anything done, learning new things like this and trying to get better is not easy. So aside from his video, I had so very little time this week that and not getting home till more often than not 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then having 3, 4, 5 hours of homework on top of it, going to sleep at about 12:30, jumping into people's chats if they're going live. So as much as I like this job and it affords me all these comics, I'm hoping next year I can find a job that pays about the same and I'm not having to work 18 hours a day. So if anybody in the Miami area sees what I do, and knowing that I am audio and visual, and I do a show like this every Wednesday, hit me up in either Instagram or Twitter. Twitter, my handle is Rob Worst. My Instagram is RobWorst_NNM. Not near mint. That is my show. So, just a little thing about me. Now, I've been collecting comic books for about, the better part of, 30 years now. So I'm jumping over back to the chat room just to see who else is in here. So let's see who's in the chat room. So we still have Leo Marquez. We still have Life with Two YouTubers. Good to see you. Perry Comics. Good to see you in the chat room. Whenever you decide to come on in here, throw money at him. It would be nice if people would throw money at me, but I don't even like entering contests, because I would rather say, hey, you know what? I spent all this time in depositions, and that is how I afford stuff like, here's one of the ones I got just from the other week, like first appearance of Power Girl. I would rather be able to say that I worked my ass off and this is how I afford it, rather than, hey, someone gave it to me. Or you get into a relationship with someone that makes a lot more money than you do and they buy you stuff. No, that's just cheap. I'd rather know that I worked my ass off in order to afford all these things. Now, back in 2014, this was a very different story. See, up until recently, and by recently I mean 2014, end of the year, I was an alcoholic. I mean, I'm still an alcoholic, but I'm not an active one. You see, I worked at a place called, well, I won't say the name, but it was a watch company, and I was the art director for 13 years, and I imploded my life. And after imploding my life, you get to see very quickly how long you can go before, hey, if you don't have a paycheck coming in, how can you pay rent, bills, car payments? So after about a month and a half, I started having to sell comic books. And it got so bad to the point where I realized that I wasn't going anywhere. Couldn't find a job. I was trying to get into rehab, and I just sold some books to stay into my apartment. I had to move back with my parents, so I put my comics into storage and fell off the wagon several times until my parents wouldn't allow me to be there. I was homeless for several months. So all my comics were in storage. I had about another maybe 6-7 months left, and I just left them there. I didn't know whether or not I'd live to go and get them back, or if they'd just get lost. I had no idea. Oh, hey, but yes, I did win a prize, Life with Two YouTubers, thanks. It's a shirt by her son, her daughter, I'm sorry. Just wrote a book. She is very proud of her daughter, and I'm proud too. I'm looking forward to reading it. So, back to the story. When I put all my comic books into storage, I figured either I'm going to get back on my feet, or I will probably drown myself in the Biscayne Harbor. So what wound up happening, I spent several months on the street until I tried ending my life. And in the course of doing so, Baker acted again, many times over, and one of my best friends took me in. This is the house in which I live now. She helped pick me back up. I tried floundering around at different jobs. She let me bring my comic books into the house, stuck them in the garage, and if you saw the condition of the boxes, my cats used them as scratching posts, but the insides were okay. But I never rebagged and boarded many of these things for about 20 plus years. So I started trying to get different jobs, and after a while I started realizing that if I told somebody, hey, I was an art director for like 13 for a basically minimum wage and be your secretary, thank you, no. So I started doing I know this is bad. I did Uber, I did Lyft. I would not wish that on anybody. And it took some time. I was definitely sobering up at this point, but come right around New Year's Eve, I got to find out really quickly how many friends that I had. If you went to my Facebook page, there's a reason why I don't go on Facebook. You'll see that I have several hundred friends. They're not friends. They're people that I know, people I'm acquainted with. You get to find out if your life goes tits up real quick how many friends you really have, and I could count them on one finger. So she took me in. I tried getting my life back together. It wasn't working out so well, so I sold one of the last books that I had that was a big book. It was Werewolf by Night 32, which is why I'm trying to reacquire this book. And I bought a firearm. And I got super drunk on New Year's Eve on 2014. I put a gun in my mouth, and now you see my teeth are chipped. The gun backfired, and I woke up the next morning, and I didn't take a drink since then. That was New Year's Eve 2014. So I continued on with Uber and Lyft. It was hard going. And after a while, I met this guy, Rufo, through another friend of mine, and we became good buddies, and he told me about court reporting. Now, at this time, I was making crap money doing Uber. You cannot make money doing that unless you are really talented or you know something I don't, because I would only do it in the middle of the night. Now, on my last trip after he told me, hey, try this court reporting thing out, I don't trust anything until I see it for myself. So upon picking up this group of German tourists from a place called 11 here in Miami, and at 11, there's a difference between a strip club and a dance club. A dance club, you pick somebody up, they might be drunk. If it's a strip club and a dance club, not only are they drunk, they're probably coked up too. And they were. So I pick up 6 people, German tourists. They started loading into my Uber, and I'm noticing police ahead of me. And I'm saying, hey, there's a lot more people that can fit in this car here. I can't fit this many people in my dinky little Prius. We're going to get a ticket. So I felt behind me one of the girls punch me in the back of my head, not hard, but enough where it was annoying. And I recall that there was a woman several years ago that was not a nurse, a doctor for Jackson Memorial Hospital who was intoxicated and just started ripping all this stuff up out from this poor guy's car. And if you're an Uber driver, you don't have money to replace anything. So, this person wound up being out of money. The woman lost her job. So I didn't want my car to get ripped up. I said, okay, you want to go to Live? It's 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm thinking, it's closed. I know that. They didn't know that. So I drove them out there. I dropped them off. They're looking around going, hey, why is everything closed? Bye. The next day I started doing court reporting, and here I've been ever since. It's a good job. It just eats away at all of my time. All of my time. And I'm right back to where I was back in 2014. So I'm trying to get these last few books, one of which I just picked up earlier this week. Should be coming in the mail. It was ordered from Canada. Got it at a good price. The first appearance of Ghost Rider. Saw in an auction, first Hawkeye. That kind of derailed me, but I have 2 books that I need left to get back. Next year I will save and get my Hulk 181. But those 2 books are First Blade, Tomb of Dracula 10, and Werewolf by Night 32, the book that could have ended my life, but it didn't. That way, once I finally have it back, it's settled. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So now that you know my dark origin stories, I don't give up. I have worked 3 years to put together a room that looks like all this. I dusted myself off. And here I am, trying to be a comic book YouTuber, and I realized something really quick when you're employed by somebody that's not just a millionaire, but billionaires. Everybody is just a person trying to get through the day. No one's better than anybody else, and really, no one knows what they're doing. Just keep doing it. So, it doesn't matter who it is. I could probably say, Comic Tom, hey, he's been doing it for years, but if you really probably plug him, he'll probably say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing either. I just keep doing it. And he looks amazing when he does it. So it's just time and effort and practice. And earlier tonight, I was ready to give everything up again because life is effort. Life is hard. Why is everything so hard? Make it stop. Because anything that's worth it will not be easy. Anybody that tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. So, we're just trying to get through the day. And for me, mental health is something that I would try and talk through with anybody. So if you're out there and you're having a hard time through life, if you're having a hard time today or this minute, you're not alone. I've been having a difficult time for years now. Some days are better than others, but it's never going to be bad all the time. There's a movie, The Crow, starring Brandon Lee. It was the movie he died in. There's a very poignant line from that movie. That line is, "It can't rain all the time." And you know what? Tomorrow could be a better day. But if you don't stick around to find out what happens next, how are you going to know? So, I'd like to also... Bubs is in the chat, so I don't want to leave everybody off on a down note. If anybody ever needs to talk, I'm here. I'm here on weekends if people want me to be on their show, or if they just want to talk, because more often than not, I'd rather just watch all y'all. So, Bubs, I'll let the community know. It will be in 2 weeks. Comic Gories will be back, and it will be head-to-head, Comic Head 84 versus Bubs Comics. And Bubs Comics, he's a trash talker, but Comics Head 84, he's the one that beat me with a Silver Surfer number 4. That will be a book that I will have to wind up picking up one day. But otherwise, you wound up finding out about my origin story. It's not everything, but it is probably the most pertinent thing about me. That I have lost everything, and it took a while, but I built it back up again. And if you've lost everything once, hell, I'm a nobody. My name is Rob Worst. If I can do it, so can you. You're never alone in this world, because this is the comic book community. This is the IG comic family, the IG comic community. So, my name's Rob Worst. Thank you for joining me tonight. And let's jump back over here to the chat room, see if anybody has anything else to say. Leo Marquez says, "Don't give up, bud." I don't give up. That's why Green Lantern's one of my favorites. Also this week we have Bone by Jeff Smith. That just got picked up by Netflix. Let's see over here. "You're not trying. You are Rob. Thank you, Life with two YouTubers." Also, Sad, that's a great movie. Perry, Bub, we are listening to Rob's origin story. Not much longer because it's over. And sounds good, brother. Well, my name's Rob Worst. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am here every Wednesday at 10 p.m. And despite the fact, and I'll jump on over here to show all y'all's, even though, JP doesn't show that I am on at 10 o'clock, but I am. Also, let's see if there's anything else I have to show you here. Yeah, I was on with Tony Fett last Friday. I gave an interview. I gave a little tidbits about my origin story, but if anybody needs to reference it, I'm not going to be doing it. I'm not going to be talking about this again. If you want to know my origin story, it's episode 8. I buried the lead at the end. If you want to hear a good discussion, Tony Fett is awesome. This guy served in the military. Thank you for your service. I don't know if I told you that before, but it was a good interview. I'm not going to play a second of it here. Go over to his channel to see it. Do check out Bub's Comics and take a look at how he cleans a Hulk 181. And, last thing I'll leave you with. Hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter is right here. And it is not Near Mint, it is Rob Worst. That is my Twitter. This is my Instagram Rob Worst at Not Near Mint. And by the way, yesterday I told Lady Fantastic about this. I was the only person. I'm not going to be tweeting about it. I'm not going to be instaing about it. I'm not a toot my own horn about things, but this was kind of cool. I finally hit 200 subscribers. So thank you all for being here. I know I might not be the person that has 1,000 or 5,000. I don't care about any of that. if you're here in the chat, if you're watching me and you've stuck around this far, I appreciate all of you, every last damn one of you. I thank you for being here. And again, jumping back over here, you get to see all y'alls. Wayne, thank you for being here. Bubs, Perry, Life with Two YouTubers, Leo Marquez, Novamed 1966. Am I missing anybody? I think that's everybody. So for the 6 to 9 viewers that were in here, thank you for joining me. My name's Rob Wurst. Y'all have a good night. Hope you hit the comic shop. It was a light week, so next week might be a much bigger one. So we're going to end the broadcast here. It is 10:38, 38-minute episode. I did pretty good tonight. Good night, y'all.